Welcome to Out of This World podcast.
Out of this world. We got a few good brothers here.
Yeah. What's up, Wes? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. It's been a good day.
For sure.
Sunday.
Yes, indeed.
Keeping it chill today. Church is good.
How about you, Marcel? Mr. Marcel?
Feeling great. The wife is great. Life is great.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
It's your boy,
Babe, don't hurt me.
Antidote Music, and this Out of This World podcast.
Right.
We got my brother Wes,
Yeah.
Marcel. Tell them about yourself, Wes.
You know, born and raised in Baltimore City. Came to Hampton. Went to Hampton University. HU all day. I'm a DJ. That's what I do full time. Married to the love of my life. 5 years. Got a baby boy. 8 months. Jackson. That's it. That's me.
Word.
That's what it is.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah.
Marcel, anything you want to say, man? Just introduce yourself.
Really a nobody.
What? Nah.
I am
You are somebody.
I like to call myself a jack of all trades. Not in like a kind of prideful way, but I just kind of look at documentaries. I look at a lot of YouTube videos, but I'm not like a master, I would say, of one thing. My profession, I am an IT guy. I do cybersecurity with the Navy.
You can fix any computer.
Smart guy.
I try.
Smart guy.
But I love technology and computers, so my job, I don't even really see it as a job. I see it as like a hobby. Like I get paid for it. So I
Hey,
really
that's the
enjoy
best
that.
job, man. It's the best type of job to have.
You
So-
went to Phoebus.
Yeah.
Phoebus all day. Phoebus Phantoms, 2002 state champions.
Yeah.
Nice plug. And it's Antidote Music. Of course, I do some music, you know. I love sports. I love talking about what's going on in this world. And we're going to get into it, man.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do sound effects since I don't have my board.
All right, no doubt. We'll get that together next time. So we're just going to talk about some stuff, man. Just, things that go on in this world, man. Just, what's going on today. And I know the All-Star weekend just came by,
Yeah.
down in Charlotte, North Carolina. So just a few things we could kind of discuss, man. Like, first of all, with the NBA All-Star weekend, right? It's geared around the NBA players, right? Of course, the stars are there and the famous people always show up. But what is you guys' take on the new format where now the two best voted players, I'm assuming it's East and West, get to basically pick their own team? What do you guys think about that whole format? Do you think that format works for the NBA?
I think the NBA is reaching. They got to do anything possible to keep the fans' attention because they realize that the NFL is surpassing in terms of popularity. Right. And I think just constantly the NBA is constantly trying to reformat, redo everything. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the NBA right now. We in a superstar culture. Yeah. So I don't superstar.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they're not superstar. I think they.
I think we are a super soft culture.
You think?
Actually, that's probably true to that statement.
That's so true, but I'm not taking away
statement.
from any of the skills of any NBA player. But I think it kind of feeds that whole icon. It's not about the team anymore. It's like even the whole NBA, the All-Star game was just dunks and 3 points. Like it's not about the passing. It's not. They're not playing D.
They don't feel. I don't think they're motivated. Like,
no.
Well,
it's more for show. It's not. They're not
I
really
think they
looking
need
at
to
it
give
like a
them
game.
Some kind of incentive, like I heard, I forget somewhere that not the World Series, but the MLB, their All-Star game,
All-Star,
whoever wins, so whoever wins that conference will have home court advantage.
Oh, you're talking about for the actual game itself.
Yeah, so for the All-Star game itself.
Yeah, because they do give money to charity. That's one thing.
Do they give money themselves?
I don't know if they give money themselves.
I don't even think they need money though.
No,
they wouldn't even be incentivized.
I
by
think
money.
they get like $25,000. I think the winners. I think. But there is charity involved too. But end of the day, I think the format itself of the players drafting whoever they want. I like the nostalgia of East versus West, but I can also see an advantage to. Let's just pick players, and you see teammates going against each other. You see Ben Simmons and Embiid going
before it was the
against each
people
other.
choosing.
No, well before. Everybody voted the players in.
Who's everybody?
Meaning anybody could vote.
Okay.
Like you could vote, I could vote.
Yeah.
So the fans vote for the players to be all-stars. But the difference was it was East Conference versus West Conference.
Right.
So if your team that you play for is in the East, then you play on the East team.
But wasn't
the
it
West is the same? But
in the
now
early
it's-
2000s? The West was always winning, though, right? Wasn't that one of the
Most-
biggest issues?
Was
Like when
The
Kobe
West-
was around, the West always won, if I can recall correctly.
Yeah. I mean, that's always historically. It just depends what time you're talking about.
Has there ever been like an All-Star game where? So the only All-Star game, not I won't say the only. It's been two. It was one in the early 2000s where it was
2001?
really competitive.
2001.
I think Jason Williams was playing in it.
Jay-Z. Yeah.
The white Jason Williams.
Jay-Z was playing too.
I don't remember
No,
the East ever being
Jordan
good.
was in that game.
Okay.
And they actually played defense in that game.
Yeah, I don't
know what
remember
you're
the
But
East
last
ever
year
being
was
good.
pretty competitive towards the end. It came down to the last couple seconds.
Yeah, but overall, what you're getting at is the West has always been a stronger conference.
Yeah.
So what I think they're trying to do is implement this format to say, put that aside and just let the players play against each other and have fun. And I think it's good. I think it's good personally for the NBA.
But the whole concept of like LeBron's team, I'm not a fan of
yeah,
that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because it's Team LeBron. It's about the individual.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah. That
I
is.
guess it's like the captain. Yeah, that's why they do it.
Yeah, he's a
It's the
captain. Yeah.
Yeah,
Team Giannis, Team LeBron.
I get the concept.
I
I mean,
like
like I
that,
said, it
yeah.
fits our culture.
I like the idea, but I do like I like both. I'm torn. Like,
I know.
I
That's what
do
I'm saying.
like the fact that it was the East and West, and if the West always won, I feel like it's like the Warriors today. People complain about them.
Yeah.
Me, I hate the Warriors.
Mm.
So, not the people, but I just the
You
team.
just don't like the super team.
Yeah, because I don't. They seem cocky, but I'm like, you taking pride in your team when you had to recruit two big all-stars to get to you. You know,
Right.
I could see like if they were kind of like was it the Splash Brothers? So Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond, they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just came up and grew into that role,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So they were good, and they were good. I think they won a championship with just those three, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Mhm.
Actually, no, because they
You're
lost to
talking
LeBron
about Draymond.
and Kyrie
But they did win one too.
without KD.
The very first one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they
'Cause
lost
they-
to Cleveland.
Gotcha.
Cleveland beat them the second time.
Anyway, so
But
I'm
why?
about to go on this Warriors
Why?
rant,
But why?
no.
Why is that an issue? Why is this the super team? Like from a
That's what part of the. I feel like it. Even like me, if I was an NBA basketball player, it would make me want to beat them all the
Right.
more. Like
That's
not even
exactly
like
it.
I don't want to recruit it. I feel like that takes away from like I love LeBron. LeBron's my favorite player. Whatever team he's on, I'm a fan of. So now I'm a Lakers fan.
okay.
But if the players are complaining about the Warriors being so good, I think they should raise their level.
Go
level
beat
of
them.
play. Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, that's what.
LeBron, what he did is a power move. We're talking about chess moves
Yeah.
because what he did was, I'm going to leave the East because if I'm in the East, I'm going to meet the Warriors in the finals. That's just what it is. He could dominate the East, which is what he was doing. Now he's in the West, so now he's got to beat them to then get to the finals. You know what I'm saying? So if he does beat them, somehow I don't know this team currently. I don't know if it's possible. They got to get some new pieces. But if he does beat them with the Lakers, that means he stops them from even having a chance at the championship. And he's going to play whoever's in the East. He's going to dominate the East like he always does.
Right.
So him going to the West, I thought was strong. But again, back to this whole format thing, I think that's what it's getting at. Is the West was always the strong suit, and it still is today. If you look at the records on the West and the East, it's just they're always beating the East,
Right.
And that's just how it's been for a long time because a lot of the players are there, and you could say the cities that bring those players there are in the West, like LA and these other teams and these other cities, but that's just how it's always been. So
Yeah, they
Just
say
to
they say
kinda-
players would rather live in the West because it's hot, it's warm.
yeah.
NBA,
So
NBA players like that comfortability.
right.
By the way, when NBA All-Star Game winners get 50,000 and losers get 25.
Is that what it is?
I just looked it up.
Okay.
Oh, you did? Yeah,
So-
I don't think the money's an incentive for them. But I'm not really opposed to the
Nice little
super.
expedition. or something.
Like if you look at it from a suit, like I'm not opposed to the super team concept because that's just basketball. Like they it's a business at the same time.
True.
But I get what Russell Westbrook, he said in an interview one time. He was like, he wants to compete against the best and not play with the best.
Yeah.
So I get that concept. But however, that's probably why Russell Westbrook will never win a championship.
Maybe.
I'm just gonna be. That's
real.
how I feel.
No, that's real.
Because if you don't recruit the best and
That's
want
true.
to have the best on your team,
That's
I think
sad.
in this
It's
tape and they
different.
him on his own, he probably won't. He won't win the championship.
I mean, you could say even the '90s teams had some incredible, like not super because they weren't all superstars, but they had great players supporting the superstars. Now that's what you're seeing. Is just the game has evolved. But I got a question to kind of throw into this before we move on to the next topic. But kind of put yourselves in the position of being an all-star, right? Mm-hmm. You and your family, who you were married to, the family you got, you're in the NBA and you're an all-star. How you feel like you would handle that?
I
Being
wouldn't.
an all-star, like the fame and the money?
Yeah, you're on the team. You're like right next to Steph Curry, competitive with him. I'm saying you guys are a little bit better than, not saying you're not good, but I'm saying you are in the NBA. Yeah. So you have the skills to be there. You got the money, all that stuff, endorsements. How would you
I think coming from a Christian background, not even some background, that's my life, you know?
Right.
Like, we have, like, meetings, you know, for, like, to kind of hone your, I guess, skills at trying to help lead people to Jesus. Mm-hmm. We have meetings about how to help, other Christians be accountable. So it's just like, it's kind of like you're busy, not doing like empty work. I mean, you're doing like God's work. But so to take that, and bring it into the fact that I'm a super famous guy, I got all this money, and my life my life revolves around, basketball.
Because it's a job. It's a job.
It's a job. I think it's possible, but it's like almost like what Jesus says is impossible for a camel to crawl through the eye of a needle. Yeah. But with God, anything is impossible.
Exactly.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So, in reference to a rich guy being able to enter into heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's like a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be tough. But I would like to think like, man, I would be treating everybody around me out to like dinner and like free tickets to games, and I would like to say I would be super approachable. Mm-hmm. Like people can.
You would want to be.
Wes could just hit me up, and if I ain't at practice or something.
So my Westbrook or this Wes?
Oh, Wes.
Yeah. So the thing y'all gonna realize about Marcel, he's gonna be your spiritual professor. So, he's gonna put anything like. Just so you're going to get insight spiritually. Deep insight, but biblical insight. You're going to really go to Marcel. I'm going to kind of give you a kind of cultural relevance and insight on what the culture thinks. So that's my plug. Give him that culture. Give him the culture. And James, he's kind of your all around, but he knows almost everything historically, and so he's going to give you a lot of historical background. A lot of he's very
he's touching
grounded,
shoes, bro.
What in the world? But so here's what I think though.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. So I think
but real quick, think about you being in like not just. I appreciate that insight, bro.
Right.
But I want to hear like from you too, Wes. Like
I couldn't do it.
You are in that situation.
I couldn't do it, bro.
Just tell me like you personally.
I would. Whoa, bro! I had a stupid chicken video I made a couple months ago that went viral, and my brain, I was so stressed out because I couldn't handle the pressure of the comments, and so I know. So here's the thing that we got to realize: when these players step on the court, they got so much pressure on them mentally. Yeah. So I look at their mental state.
That's a bad thing.
It's kind of like the whole. It's kind of like the like they talk about. This is super crazy, but suicide is up for teenagers because of cyberbullying. Yeah, These people, they turn on the like. If I'm a player, I go to practice, then I open up my phone and I got texts, memes, I got Instagram posts, I got first take, everything about my one shot that I missed. Everything on YouTube replaying. Yeah. Oh, this one time I made this facial expression, and they critiquing the way I held my wife's hand, and my kids was, all this like that. That's why even the whole LeBron, Michael, Jordan debate isn't really. I don't think that's a Jordan didn't have the pressure that LeBron has now. Yeah. Because of social media,
he set the bar.
He set the bar.
He was taking the bar higher. Now the bar is there. You're right.
The bar is there, but I'm saying LeBron has more pressure than Jordan.
But that's what I'm saying. Why he has the pressure? Because Jordan put a bar. He took the bar and elevated it.
I wouldn't even say it's about Jordan. I'm talking about social pressure.
Oh, okay. I see what
I'm
you're
talking
saying.
about the fact that Jordan lived in an
Yeah.
era where he can kind of turn off the TV and he
Yeah.
wasn't critiqued as
Just
much.
all they had was a TV. Yeah.
All they had the TV. But now LeBron looks at, he's like, oh, LeBron this, his hairline this,
Yeah.
his jump shot this.
Right.
All that meant, so for me, if you ask the question, how would I deal with it? I couldn't. I wouldn't. I couldn't even deal with just having to walk out your house and everybody asks you questions, critiquing you, pressure, phone calls, emails, everything just to critique your whole life.
Right.
So that's why I respect LeBron though, because he's in the past, how long has he been in the league? 16 years.
16
He's really remained pretty pretty clean.
Yeah.
And he hasn't succumbed. He's been faithful. He's done this. So I couldn't handle it mentally, but I respect the guys that do.
Yeah. No, that's a whole different perspective, man, because it's not just the money, right? The other aspect, what you just said, it's the social media. There's 20 channels now with sports, not just, it used to be ESPN. That was it. Then you get your local sports. Now you got everybody as a commentator. These guys, look, you got guys all of a sudden sitting in their living room doing a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast.
What kind of clowns do that?
I'm saying, bro.
That's another avenue.
Who does
And
that?
we're talking about them.
Who does
And
that?
so,
But again, this whole idea that everybody has a social media account and everybody can critique you now, you're right.
Yeah.
The pressure, not only the money, but then you can see, okay, maybe it's good they make that much money because they can kind of get away from the pain in a sense. But if it was me, I feel like I'm kind of balanced between you two, but I feel like, I would try to use my resources. Again, this is just me hoping that this is my mentality. I don't know if I would be like this or, sometimes I get a little extra change. I just want to buy some Jordans. So I can only imagine like being that much money, what I would hope that I'll be able to give more and do things like what you see LeBron doing in the community, building a school, and helping people out and using my resources and my position to help others. That's what I would hope I would be able to do. Again, the pressure and all of those things could be not only that, but also all the money and the things that come with that might make it difficult. But that's what I would hope that I would be able to do.
And
Okay.
you
And
gotta
still
think
make my
about
jump
that.
shot. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta think about it, like, I'm thinking from a perspective of where I am in my life now, skipping all the years that I was bred to play basketball. And that's, who knows, I probably wouldn't even became a Christian, along the way, because your life is eat, sleep, drink, basketball.
Right.
And even with that comes, with fame and stuff like that, like, comes women, comes partying, comes
Exactly,
crazy
bro.
stuff. Like, think about like Zion Williams. Dude is a rock star in college. He got LeBron.
The
James. He got
level of
Obama.
glorification.
Obama coming to his game.
Bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's
He
it.
got Barack Obama.
So
coming to
so
his
let's stop real quick and let's talk about that. Let's talk about the women. Let's be honest. I'm serious. So if we putting ourselves in these shoes and we critiquing Clay, what's the guy?
Could you stay faithful?
Could you
is the
stay
question.
faithful?
Yeah. I mean,
What was the guy that was married to the Kardashian?
Tristan Thompson.
Tristan Thompson.
There's
yeah.
a few, but
What
No,
happened?
the other
what
dude
hap-
that
oh,
was
there's a
the
few.
rock-
What happened with Tristan Thompson?
No, what's his name?
He cheated on her, or
something.
she cheated on him?
Oh, you talking about Tristan? Okay, yeah.
Tristan
yeah, I
Thompson.
think he has some issue. I don't know.
Well, how would you, as a married man, I'm talking. So think about all the things you see.
Because you're traveling.
You're traveling.
You're
You
going
got
to
groupies,
different cities,
right?
yeah.
You got women in the stands. You got DMs, Instagram, Facebook. You got people just randomly getting your number. You got your boy that's single that says, "Yo, James, come on, man, we about to hit this party. We just won the championship. Let's go to this club." How would you deal with that? That's the question. That to me would be the
that's
biggest
a whole
challenge.
Another key sub question is, how's your relationship with your wife at that point?
And your relationship with God. Like,
Yeah,
at the end of the
with
day,
God,
like, you have to have conviction. So,
Yeah.
again, I know we're putting ourselves in a situation, and we're probably not in that situation for a reason, right? But I do know that it's possible.
No.
But I do know it's possible. There are Christians in the league. Like this, it's a fact. They're not like a lot of them, but there are. And some, part of our fellowship. So I know it's possible. It's just the conviction level has to supersede. Like if you're already that dedicated to a sport to get in the NBA, then you have dedication to something. You could put dedication to anything. It's just a matter of what situations you put yourself in. And I feel like if you remove yourself from this, again, it's not easy. I'm not saying that I could handle it or I would. I'm just saying that people that are in that situation that can remove themselves from those scenarios or allow themselves not to be put in that or turn their DMs off or not be on social media, whatever it is that they have to do for themselves. Because sometimes I got to turn the social media off personally because I'm not a famous person, but there's temptation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just there. So you just got to put yourself in a situation where you can succeed. And if you dedicate yourself like you do to your craft, the NBA, whatever sport or whatever it is that you do, you can do it. And with God, like he said, anything is possible. But I just think it is difficult. It is harder.
Because everything that they have is set up to, and this is where the professor will come in, to spark the sinful nature. Everything a man wants is what they have at their fingertips. Like, they have women, they have sexual pressure, they have money, they have fame, they have fortune, all that at their fingertips. How does a man, because we all have the sinful nature, we all have the nature to want to have it all, to be live for self. So I don't know,
but there are examples though. There are good examples. It's not the norm, but there are some rare examples, even in the Bible, of people in power that failed, but also those that succeeded. So and I think it's possible.
I think I think Steph Curry is actually a pretty good example. I mean,
I
him
was
and
just about
LeBron.
to bring up Steph Curry.
He's somebody that's made the most out of it. That's honestly he has he has a good wife, and she's been loyal to him, and he makes it look like it's fun, and he enjoys being married more than he would if he was living it up. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. So it's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
But moving on to the other topic. So talking about All-Star Week and all of that, just two things. For one, what do y'all think about that Anthony Hamilton soulful take on the national anthem?
I thought it was great. I think it was can I say like the right? So coming from last year's.
Who was last year?
That was Fergie?
Fergie.
She was the one last year?
Yeah.
Okay. So they got it right.
They went on the farthest end of the spectrum. They went from the whitest,
but even
most alternative.
What city was it in last year? Was it L.A.? Was it L.A.?
No.
I could understand
if
it was LA. I could understand why she was there. Hollywood. Now you're in this soul.
But that was
South.
a joke.
South. I mean, North Carolina's still the
it
South.
Was just, me and my wife were watching.
He's
that,
from there.
And we were like, "What's going on?"
That was a joke.
What's going on? And but
then why did they critique the guys for laughing? Like, that was a joke. Like,
why did they?
They critiqued all the guys for laughing when she was singing the anthem.
They did.
Yeah.
Some guy. But again, we talking about what you talked about before. But what was your first thought when you heard him just start singing? Because I got some thoughts when
my first initial thought, I'm like, oh Lord, he
in a bad way.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's changing national anthem. I was just expecting a regular national anthem.
Right.
The only reason I thought that because I was thinking of last year.
Yeah.
And Fergie trying to change the national anthem.
Right. But then he started.
So my initial thought, and even I looked at my wife Kendra, I'm like, and we both kind of had like a smirk, and we're thinking the same thing. Oh Lord, what's happening? But the more it went on, it was like, wow, this is actually really good, like, and really different. So I think he succeeded where Fergie failed.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna sing "Lift Every Voice" and sing the Negro national anthem. To be honest.
No, but when I first heard it, bro, like my first thought was, again, I don't want to put no hype on it. I love Anthony Hamilton and his music, but I was just like, yo, this is incredible. Mm-hmm. Like he's taking this to another level, and with the whole idea that people are boycotting national anthem, and of course you see that more NFL and everything that went down with that. But the NBA has always been more in line with the views of minorities and things like that. So the NFL is just, I feel like the ownership just has issues. But
I think Iverson changed that. But
Iverson, the NBA has always been more gravitated.
Well, they had those moments when they was trying to enforce the dress code on the guys.
Iverson, Iverson.
But he changed all that. Jordan did some things too, and a lot of guys. But what I'm saying was when he did that, and he knew that was the platform to do something like that. But I just felt like the soulful side of Anthony Hamilton, you gotta love that, man. And to me, it was like, I even want to throw it up there with like top 5, man.
R&B singers,
anthems, man. No, national anthems.
At least talking about R&B singers.
You know who's in my top 5?
Whitney Houston did one.
Jack Black. Look it up.
What?
Jack
You talking
Black.
about anthem
National
singers?
Anthem, yes. Look it up.
Jack Black, the
Jack
comedian.
Black. Yeah, Jack Black.
Oh,
He
yeah,
does a lot
he
of-
did, he did.
He
He's a-
incorporates a lot of music.
he
in
played
his
the
movies
guitar,
for a
too.
reason. Yeah, he's a
They had a group.
musician. Yeah.
Him and another guy are in a part of a
Tenacious
group.
D.
Tenacious D. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the
But-
national anthem.
So tell me what you thought about this Anthony.
I thought it was good, but I don't think there's the. I mean, that's how I feel about the national anthem. That's how I feel about our country.
All right, so switching up, man. We're gonna talk some hip hop, man.
All right.
Okay.
Y'all like some hip hop, man?
I like hip hop.
Me too, man. So J. Cole, again, we're still on this recap of All Star Weekend. It just happened. So J. Cole is in his home, state, not too far from Fayetteville, in Charlotte, and he did a halftime performance. So I just want to hear what y'all thought, man. Then we can talk a little bit about J. Cole.
I'm just trying to figure out why he didn't get his hair done.
What you mean, man?
His hair
I
was
love
looking
J. Cole
crazy.
too, but
Alright.
his hair.
We're gonna switch to this guy, man. What you
Yeah.
think? Because
I mean,
the hair
I'm
is
just
just
saying
the
that
hair.
that's the
him.
first thing that I've noticed. I'm like, to me, it just doesn't.
That's a statement, I
okay.
think.
It's a statement. I'm saying that's what the first thing I noticed. So to me, when I look at hair for black men, that's an issue that I know it's not the answer to the question, but that's an issue that needs to be addressed amongst the black community. Is why are we letting these kids run around with all types of hairdos? It doesn't look right to me.
I
don't
feel
like
like you as a anybody, but even coming from, I think so much so coming from someone who's not black, but even for a black person to comment on another black person's hair would be, it's not socially acceptable. It's a lot of stuff today. Like if you go against, or if you talk against how someone wants to express themselves, you're looked at as maybe conservative
Intolerant.
and negative,
Yeah.
intolerant.
Mhm.
But I just think I think it's tacky. I mean,
So you agree? You think it's a little tacky?
I think it's a lot of tacky.
But here's the thing. So when I look at guys like him, okay, so this
Yeah.
is an example. James. Guys like him and Odell, right? Odell Beckham. They're guys that have the luxury to do however and wear whatever and do whatever, right? They can color his hair any type of color. Odell can do any type of color.
Yeah.
J. Cole can, obviously his hair is probably clean, but he can have his hair whatever type of way. But the level of influence that he's sitting in, he's at a higher standard because he has the luxury to do that. But young Jaquan at 16 coloring his hair blue, trying to get into college in an interview,
Yeah, you ain't gonna
he's
be
not
that
he's not gonna have the luxury. So that's how I look at it. And I know this is not musical related, it's not
I
related
know
to the
what you're
All-Star
saying.
game, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at J. Cole. I couldn't get past his lyrics. And so I'm a black man, right? And I'm trying to listen to his lyrics, but I couldn't get past his hair. So how much more is somebody sitting in a position of power or an employer looking at a black male with this crazy hairdo, quote unquote. I don't want to say it like that, but and can't get past even what they're saying, even if they're saying the most intelligible things, they can't get past the look. That's the thing, that the weight that we do carry as black men, that we do have to kind of conform our look to assimilate to some degree.
I'll say this and move on. Like what I said before, like I think it's a lot of tacky, but I'm learning a lot nowadays to not judge in a sense. I don't want to say judge. Yeah, I'm learning not to make a huge judgment on a person's character,
Right.
based off of what they look like. So I think it's a lot of tacky, but if I'm talking to him and I'm learning more about him, it wouldn't. So his hairstyle, or it's going to someone who has like a bunch of tattoos, even if they're maybe like, I don't know, neo-Nazi or like super on the left, like black empowerment or whatever, it wouldn't make me not want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to not make those kind of judgments because people have, stories and stuff like that. But you were correct in I guess assuming that people in power, like going to a job interview, you wearing your hairstyle like that.
But this is, we're talking about a rapper, bro. Like, I'm not saying like
That's true.
Right,
That's
but
true.
that's why I get his
I'm not
stuff. He has the
demeaning-
luxury
I'm not
to
putting
do
him
that.
low because I'm a rapper too. Like, I'm not saying he's a rapper. Oh, I'm saying he's an entertainer. And again, I don't mean that in a negative or demeaning way. I mean that's his profession.
So they can do,
Better word is artist. He's an artist. So when Basquiat had his hair, right? But when you heard him talk so eloquently, you said, "Wow, this man is deep." It was one thing that he may have, Basquiat different. I'm not talking. I'm just saying artist. So J. Cole is the same thing. He is an artist. So I feel like he's expressing himself.
Correct.
And you can see a difference even in his music from the time of him starting to grow his hair.
Right.
You see other
He
people.
cut his hair at one
mentor,
point.
one of his mentors, Jay-Z, doing the same thing. And it's a, I don't want to say rebel, but it's him expressing it. And I think that even in my job or any job, corporate job, non-corporate, you should still be able to express yourself.
Correct.
But even
I agree
more
with
so
that.
an artist.
But what I would say though, I see him in light of as an artist, but he's also an example, and that's
like
the
an
whole.
activist, you see him as more of an activist.
I see it. He
because
is
of what he.
well.
his
I see him as a
music.
leader. I see him as a leader.
I understand what both of you guys.
But I see him in light of the schools in Florida that outlawed students from wearing natural hair. Black students.
Did you think that was a good thing that they did that?
I don't.
Right.
Okay, but look, I see him in light of that though. That to me, here's how I always felt. And the same thing with Baltimore City. They outlawed police from wearing natural hair or what they call locks or whatever how they labeled it to convey that black. But I see that as a battle that we can't win. Meaning I'm not in a position to call that shot. Meaning I don't have the authority to say I'm gonna wear my. That's why I say he has a luxury because he's a millionaire and he's an artist. He has that platform. But me or any other kids that's following his example or following Odell's example, we don't have that luxury because we're not in authority. We're not the majority. We're a minority. You get what I'm saying?
So putting us again that question. I'm not saying we gotta go in depth in that, but thinking about ourselves in that situation. So if that was you, you would be having your hair nicely cut so you could be the example. Is that what you're
So
saying?
that's a great question, James. So I don't know, but I know that I would not have my hair like that.
Yeah. But that's a personal preference, though, right? You got to think about that too.
So yeah, this is just
could
opinion.
It could be.
So okay, so let's look at this is something historically we got to even look at it. There was a time in the early 50s and 60s when black people did this thing called conch, where they would take basically a hot comb and they would make their hair look like it was European. And so that was a time in our age when blacks wanted to adopt every form of European nature. And now we're on the polar opposite end, which I would rather us be on this end of the spectrum where we're embracing our Afrocentricity or we're embracing our heritage and we're proud of it and we're not afraid to step into a scene and be like, yo, this is who I am. However, I'm not critiquing J. Cole. J. Cole's a forerunner. He's a pillar in our community in terms of the hip hop community. Yeah. I'm just saying that's the first thing I saw. And so I'm more talking to myself in terms of why did I first see that? Why was I so focused on that? As a black man, as a lover of hip hop, as somebody who is loves lyricism and was listening to everything he's saying, but I couldn't get past his hair. Why was that my issue?
Because standing in your shoes where you're at, if you wore J. Cole's style and you did what you did, it would affect your work.
It would 100% affect my work, Marcel.
Yeah,
which is sad. Which is sad.
Yeah.
It would 100% affect my work.
Which is
because
terrible.
he's not held within those confines of being judged by people in power, or in a sense he still is. Yeah. But
it could
he's
help
still
him
making he's still making his money. But for like me, if I went to a job interview wearing his exact hairstyle,
right.
But real quick though,
go ahead.
I think what he's like, I don't even know why. Like we have to ask him that question. But if, for example, he's doing this so you can go to a job interview, if
like
you do like that hairstyle,
correct,
it's a good thing. So that's how I see it. If he's leading in that example, then some could see that. Like, correct. Okay, well, so maybe the person hiring you eventually has to be a hip hop fan and like J. Cole to say, I don't care about your hairstyle. I just want to care about you as a character, as a human being, and also how well you're going to do this job. And again,
but that
being an artist and a rapper, but I think that could become the norm.
Like that's what I'm saying. I couldn't see past that. And I'm a pro-black everything type of person, and I don't.
Which is good.
When I choose to get a hairstyle, I do think, and whether I'm on the opposite end of, I don't have that type of level of confidence. I do think how is this going to be perceived by I'm a business owner, obviously. How is this going to be perceived by my clientele? because I believe that the way even my wife and I joke about why I button my top button. To me, it's just it's just another way to convey. And this is something that I feel like I just got from Hampton. Hampton's really big on this whole idea of, really just assimilating, really to do whatever you can to fit in, to win. Right. And so there was this commentator, I can't remember his name. He was the guy, he got flack for it. He was talking about the Mexicans that don't, learn the English language, and they need to kind of, conform to a American way of life. And he's obviously speaking from more of a white supremacist mindset, but not in a super evil way, but more like just in a white privilege kind of mindset. But I do believe that there's some truth to that, that if you're a minority in this country, you have to consider, like, okay, I don't have the majority mindset, the majority rule. With that being said, though, hip hop is the number one genre in the world. So we do lead the way. Hip hop does lead the way.
That's what I'm saying. But also, I think that what you're saying, like with so maybe the language from a person coming from a different country who doesn't speak English, of course you got to conform to that language, but it's really not conforming. It's just saying, okay, they speak this language, then I'm going to learn that language so I can be accustomed. But I don't think that they should change their culture or the way that they live to conform to fit in. I think fitting in, it should be them being themselves. And that's why I say, Jake, I'm on the side of he should have that hair, whatever hair he wants, because I don't think we should conform. Again, I'm coming from a different perspective, but at the same time, I feel like if we try to conform, then all of us coming together as a country, which is a whole different topic, but all of us coming from different countries, different backgrounds, cultures, we benefit when we're all coming from different backgrounds and cultures.
I agree.
Because we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And we can help each other be better human beings, not just let's all be American.
Right.
Like, that's
so one of the
like,
things kind of even taking it deeper, obviously going more to the lyricism of J. Cole. I remember it was a moment in this performance that I think he was about to perform. I can't remember, but
was it a lot with?
Well, you'll probably know based on it was a white guy.
Was it after he left the first stage?
Yeah, he came down
through the crowd.
Walked through the crowd on that little platform on the square.
After he got up there is when he performed it.
Not on the third stage, but on the little square he was at. And it was a white guy in the front row. He was so into his and I was like, okay, now I get it.
The whole crowd though.
The whole crowd.
That's what I wanted to get at.
But to me, the white guy
got stuck on the hair. But
I got stuck on the hair. But then I got stuck on the hair, and then I got stuck on the white guy, and I was like, there's something deep here going on.
Yeah. So now it kind of puts two and two together.
It does.
Regardless of his hair, you got this white guy, probably a college student, right? Young guy who's like every word, loving it.
He knew every word.
And the whole vibe of that crowd, it just got my attention. Then he went into my favorite song, Love Yours.
But, I didn't get that song. What does that song mean to you?
It's everything, man. Like love, one line he says in that song is, basically, if you don't love the people inside your home, those that love you, you can't love yourself. You can't love anything. So really just saying, regardless of all this fame and all this glitz and glamour from him being a well-known, successful artist and making a lot of money, if you can't love the people in your house, who are you?
Right.
So one of my favorite albums is that 2014 Forest Hill Drives. But
that's my favorite album.
But when he was in the middle and the whole crowd is vibing with him, as an artist, like you just get goosebumps. I'm sure you do as a DJ.
Right.
Just the crowd involved. And he had like 360 degrees people around him. He's in North Carolina, his home, and it was just a vibe. And I just thought it was just like his moment that he did perfect, And when he did a lot, I think when he walked into that second part with the song A Lot that he has with 21 Savage, giving 21 Savage a shout out with what he just went through, I thought was dope too. And just overall, I thought the performance was really, really good.
So him and Meek Mill,
he delivered.
Way better than Super Bowl.
So what do you?
That's what I'm saying. NBA is way better.
It's different. It's
They've
a different
already,
platform.
It is.
NBA, the NBA audience is I would say a little more intellectual.
Right. And the All-Star Weekend, I think, is a culmination of the NBA.
Yeah,
it's a celebration.
Correct.
And they do a great job.
So what would you say if you can kind of convey what J. Cole's mission is as an artist?
Let's get into that, man. Let's get into that song, Middle Child, man.
The favorite line that I think the song hinges on, I think it's actually halfway through the song, is he explains how he just left the booth with 21 and is about to have lunch with Jay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that perfectly explains that song.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like, man, that's tight. Like, he really is trying to.
So
bridge
before
the
we
new
get
with
into
the
that,
old.
what side are y'all on? What side of the generation are you guys? Are you before? Are you the middle child? Are you the younger child? I'm assuming y'all not the Jay-Z, I'm the older guy, right? We're all younger here.
You know, it's
But
funny
which
that
one
you
are
mentioned
you?
that. I feel like we have. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm definitely the younger child.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a very shallow consumer of music.
He
I
said
like
shallow
I'm just
consumer.
honest.
What
I
year
like
you finished high school?
Huh?
Let us know what year you finished. I always ask people what year
I
you
graduated from 2000. I graduated high school in 2007.
Okay.
So I grew up in the Franchise Boys, Knuck If You Buck, Lean With It, Rock With It era.
And you
the
was in what part of Baltimore?
Wipe Me Down, East Baltimore. The Wipe Me Down, Two Step, Walk It Out.
Wipe Me Down.
So if you look at my generation, I'm the Soldier Boy generation.
Got you.
You get
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
So if
definitely.
you look at, you want to understand my generation, which I'm 29. You look at Soldier Boy, and he doesn't even. I mean, that whole Drake thing, he doesn't even pay respect. Drake is a phenomenal artist, but it's just very shallow generation
Yeah.
that wants to kind of constantly live in the fame, live in the limelight,
Be the center of attention.
be the center of the attention. Okay,
So
yeah,
it's the younger child. Yeah,
it's the younger child.
the
That's
younger
how I look
child.
at I am.
I think
myself.
the middle child, I'm the oldest child in my family, so I don't understand the middle, but I understand the concept of the song and everything. I feel like I am the middle. Like when it comes to that, what he's describing in the song, I am like what he is. I'm only a year or two older than him, so I'm in
How
the
old is he?
same. He is, I think he was born in 84 maybe, 85. I was born 83.
I'm 34.
So yeah, so he's around there.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely feel like I agree with him and the era he came up in. I can understand the older generation, and I can start to understand the younger generation. I can see both sides, and I feel what he's trying to do is bridge that gap. Again,
Right.
coming off of KOD, the previous album he had, where he's talking about these concepts. He's like, yo, who are these young guys dissing me? I don't even know who these guys are. And now he's starting to do songs with them. So we can discuss that too. But that song, I feel like, is a culmination of all of those feelings he's had.
Right.
And now he's just like, man, I just want to vibe with everybody. But I feel like I have a role. And if you're the middle child, he's more saying he's the glue between the two. Because you also see a lot of the older guys critiquing the younger guys back and forth. Oh, you an old head, forget you.
Right.
But then when you say that, you forget the generation that was before you and how incredible they were, what you can learn from.
And I don't
and
like
vice versa.
I don't like
guys
I don't
learn
like the
from
older
younger.
guys disrespecting because
No,
there
not at all.
was always an older generation.
Exactly.
From disco to Motown
Exactly.
to 80s hip hop to 90s gangster rap. There was
Mm-hmm.
always a nostalgic or like I wouldn't imagine Run DMC critiquing Snoop Dogg.
Right.
I just feel like this is a vibe like that they just totally look down on the younger generation
Right.
because it's quote unquote ignorant or so. But I do get the concept that the guys in the earlier hip hop generations, they spent a lot more time focused on the lyrics
Right, most
of the song,
The craft.
the craft, as opposed to just or what they
Yeah,
call
yeah.
mumble rappers.
Exactly. That's the generation gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like what Cole is trying to do is saying bridging the gap
Mm-hmm.
and saying let's learn from both. And if you're in the middle, you really can be an incredible artist because if you could do both, oh man, you've bridged the gap. You've done something that can accumulate both from the youth
Right.
and the older guys, and then you got everybody being a fan of you. So,
But it's
there's
interesting
part
he
of
used that
too.
word middle child because middle child is usually, synonymous with somebody that has no identity. It has no that's constantly looking for attention because
True.
they're not the oldest, they're not the youngest.
Yep.
So he's taking that middle child syndrome and going to a different level. Because I feel like a lot of what you would call your middle child rappers that your early 2000s, late 90s that tried to become trap artists, i.e. Lupe Fiasco. Or
He did switch up.
he
his-
switched up, but it didn't work for him.
Nah.
It wasn't
It didn't
successful.
hit. It didn't
It didn't hit. Even Kanye, when Kanye switched up and he tried to, even his videos, and I mean we can get into a whole nother topic on that, but when they try to conform and not have his own identity, like that's where they lost themselves. That's why anyway. But we'll stop there. I stopped there.
No,
I'm literally like the middle child. I'm 32.
Yeah.
34.
Yeah.
29. Yeah, even when I was young, I mean, I was born in 86. So, I 90s music is, the music I actually was kind of, when I became cognizant of music.
Right. Which is the golden era, man.
Is it?
That's what they say.
I feel like
that too.
I feel like the early 2000s was the golden era.
Even like growing up,
Just
listening
kidding.
to
I'm just
music.
joking. To you, maybe.
No, I think the 80s is the golden era. I think the 80s.
I was just listening to
I think
80s
no.
playlist
The fact, just the fact that
No.
a
I
lot
was
of even
listening to the
our
80s
generations
yesterday.
recycled
Listen,
to the 80s.
Listen,
80s
man.
was the catalyst. That's Michael Jackson's
Yes,
era.
but listen, what transcended from the 80s? If there was no 80s, there would be no 90s. That's just fact. That's
correct.
just mathematics, right?
Uh-huh.
But because of the
Science.
70s, 80s, and how things progressed, the 90s was accumulation of all the greatness from those previous generations. What happened in early 2000s, to be honest, there was a dip. Now, I'm not saying dip because a lot of those artists still maintain their incredible statue and were still great artists like Jay-Z with Blueprint in 2001 and still had incredible albums to today. But I'm saying the 90s there's never ever going to be another era like the 90s.
But the only
Because
reason,
every
but no,
artist that came out.
but let
and
me tell you the reason.
The goats.
Let
you
me
know what
tell
I'm
you the
saying?
reason the 90s was that era. It's because of the internet. I'm telling you.
There
If
wasn't
the
really internet until the late 90s, though.
mid 90s, that's when internet
Yeah,
started.
But we didn't see internet music.
That's when music videos kind of became a big thing.
Well,
in the
YouTube
mid-90s.
didn't really come out until
Not
like
YouTube. I'm talking
2000.
about just like MTV, BET, like
Yeah,
VH1.
The videos came out really in the 80s, but I see what you're saying is that the internet started to get more recognition.
Well, no, what I'm
that,
saying is,
but-
I'm saying that's when music was able to reach beyond its subgenres. You know, in the 80s, you had these segregated genres of pop, hip hop, you know, country, but the 90s was able to R&B could reach any group.
Yeah, but
That's
I don't
what
know.
looked
I don't
at.
know if it was because of internet though. Internet was later, so I think it just was accumulation of just great music, just forming and fusing in from the previous generations.
Give me an example.
Well, like the samples that you saw from like Bad Boy, everything was 70s and 80s. They sampled those songs, which I never heard before. Like as a kid coming up, I didn't know none of those songs Biggie was sampling until later I was able to go back and say, oh, that was it? Juicy was a previous song. They basically just took the whole thing and redid it.
Right.
I thought
remember
that was
listening to
Biggie's
Juicy,
song.
the original. I
Right.
walked into like a convenience store or something,
Yeah.
and the Juicy song was playing, like the original.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they playing Biggie?
Right.
But
So
then
I
it's
can
like some other dude like sing. I'm like, what?
yeah. So I can understand
Yeah.
that today's generation when DJ Khaled takes an old song from Santana
Oh, yeah,
and then they're
No
like,
clue.
"What you mean?"
I mean,
This is
even
a
like
cool-"
people
So
didn't
I can
even know.
understand
People
that,
didn't even know
but-
Lauryn Hill was the Nice for What sample.
Yeah. So I can understand that, but at the same time, like, man, come on, we got the internet now. We didn't really have it then, so I can understand. Now you could just do your research. But
But when we talking about golden era, when I think of golden, I think of.
I'm talking about
period.
hip hop though.
Are you talking about
I'm
hip
talking
hop?
about hip hop. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
talking about overall music.
okay, but
So I
even
want
hip
to be
hop,
specific.
if you're talking about hip hop origin, you got to look to the
Hip
80s.
Hop Anonymous?
Yes, but when you start out, late 70s, early, you're not the golden era just because you started. I'm saying the 90s was the golden era because of the accumulation of what happened in the late 70s and
of the
80s.
popularity.
And yes, the popularity aspect that the almost crossover, but what I'm saying is that the accumulation of the incredible songs that started the genre sparked a Nas, sparked a Jay-Z, sparked DMX, all these incredible artists that came out in the 90s, Wu-Tang, like the list goes on and on and on. They are paying homage to the 80s, but there would never have been those guys if it wasn't for. So there's paying homage, but what I'm saying was it was such an incredible just time to be a kid. Like I'm growing up, you guys, we were different ages, but you know, you kind of touched on it. The 90s was, I was a child, I was growing up, becoming an adolescent. So seeing Snoop Dogg on the bike, you know, with the flannel shirt, like I never saw nobody from the West Coast. So I saw the music video. And then seeing Tupac, like, just blew my mind. Like, yo,
Right.
superstar. We just gravitated to him. Biggie, you know, all these artists all came out in the 90s. And if it wasn't for
NWA.
the previous guys,
That was like
they
early.
would never have happened. But
Right.
to see all of those I just listed, just a few, all come out in the same time, the same decade. Not to mention pop culture was, you know, Will's Fresh Prince, Will Smith on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Martin
but,
Lawrence.
But not only that, but all the
Martin
movies,
Show.
Boys in the
Yeah,
Hood.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
All of that
Yeah.
couldn't have
Friday.
happened before,
That came later.
without the 80s.
Yeah,
but
early 2000s.
it happened in that era.
The first Friday.
That's what I'm
was
saying.
2000?
I remember it
First
coming-
Friday was 95, somewhere
Really?
around there. Yeah.
The first Friday? Well,
First
Ice Cube?
Friday, yep.
Dang.
Next Friday came out in 2002, I think. 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
But
So,
I
yeah.
would say, like, even though I grew up and you like you said, adolescents getting into music in the '90s. Even like in the late '90s, early 2000s, I was listening to Hot Boys. Like, I really didn't like lyrical music because it didn't have a nice beat.
Right.
I was into beats, production. Timbaland was the first
Right.
producer I actually knew by name, because I'm like, every beat that he drops for people,
Incredible.
Yes, and so
Shout out Timbaland from
yeah.
across the street, by the way. He went to high school right across the street.
But y'all need to know how many people came out of VA though.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
we get into that next time. That's a whole nother podcast, man.
But I think what you're saying is
Mafia,
we weren't trained on how to consume music. Well, I wouldn't even say that. We consume music differently. You know, we live today.
Then,
Between starting in 2000s to now,
Yeah.
we are the fast food generation.
For
You know what I'm
sure.
saying?
For
We
sure.
want the one hit wonder. You know what I'm saying? We want just the ones. We don't know how to listen to a whole album start to front.
Yeah.
You know, I remember the first
I
time
actually still do that.
You just still do.
I think
but that's a
generally you say
rarity.
that,
Most
yeah.
people don't.
Yeah.
Like I
Probably
remember
because of what you came from.
Probably,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I feel like the first album that I consumed, I know this probably makes it sound super young, but was prior The Gift and the Curse. I remember listening.
that?
When was that?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. When was that? When did that come out?
2002.
That was.
Was
how-
it?
so I was
No. That was you talking about the
The Gift and the Curse, Blueprint 2.
Blueprint 2, 2002.
Ooh,
So
bootlegging
I was 13 years
$5
old.
CD.
That's the first album I listened to from start to
$5.
finish, over and over again, every single day on my CD. And that's when I was like, yo, he's painting a picture. But I had to make that decision on my own. Like, how am I going to understand? But he kind of going with the whole Jay-Z. How did he maintain a career for so long? I feel like he's adapted to the different way people can consume music at different
Jay-Z?
times.
Yeah. So
I think
so
444
he's
though
adapted.
wasn't really adapted.
It-
That was more so like
that was for the older generation.
It was for the older gen.
Okay,
I
that
agree.
was-
that was for
That's
us
what I'm saying.
and the older
To,
guys.
I liked it,
to
though.
say to them,
yeah.
I'm still Jay. I'm still
Yeah,
Jay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he also, just with the topics he touched on,
Yeah.
I'm a grown man now.
Uh-huh.
I got a wife
Relatable,
and kids, and I've been through all this. But that brings me to the last question. Because I was watching the Michigan State versus Michigan game just earlier today. They're playing, I think, in Michigan. Obviously in Michigan because they're both there. But I think they were at Michigan, not Michigan State. Anyway, the public service announcement Jay-Z song came on from the Black Album.
Yeah.
And these kids on the court, they're talking about like these 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-olds on the court. Because I'm singing along while I hear it. Like, it just comes in second nature when that song comes on. And they showed a Michigan player, and he's rapping along with Jay-Z's lyrics. So this is a young guy. We're talking about the younger generation from a song from 2003, around the time they probably were born. Then they went to the Michigan State player, and he's rapping along too. So it got me thinking, like, where is Jay's status? And I want to hear what y'all think, kind of to close out. Where is his status? Like you said, bridges the gap. He's still relevant today. But how does he touch those young guys with a song that came out when they were like kids?
So I think Jay, when you talk about like greatest of all times in like sports or music, it's an emotional topic, not a factual topic.
True.
So emotionally, to me,
If you're not using stats, if you use stats, you can talk about.
Emotionally
it
for
is,
me, so like emotionally for me, NBA, LeBron, I think I'm almost willing to say he's better than Jordan. But anyway, back to Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z is better than Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
Lyrically, content-wise, and delivery.
I can agree with you.
I don't think Biggie and Tupac would have, like I said, shaped and conformed as well as Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay-Z's
The sad thing is we'll never
We
know.
never know.
Or both the
But,
noses,
yeah.
not the noses. What's his last name?
Could you
Carter's.
imagine,
A
like
billionaire.
J. Cole? I feel like
you
it's
talking about
J. Cole. I
Beyonce
feel like it's the
family,
closest thing to a Tupac.
Huh? What?
Who?
I feel
To
like J.
Jay?
Cole
Oh, J. Cole?
is the closest thing to what a Tupac could have been in terms of just your lyrical, your anti-cultural, your angry rapper slightly.
Well, but then again, I don't want to keep going back, but there would be no Cole if there was no Pac. So
yeah, I'm totally
that's one
respect.
thing,
I'm
but
trying to make
I
sense
see
of
what you're saying,
what would
yeah.
Tupac look like in this
Yeah.
generation? Because
Yeah,
he
he would be talking about everything and referring to what he talked about back in the 90s.
Right.
And he would be saying, come on, I've been telling y'all this for years. But he would be an activist. I think he would be
Tupac
almost
was
would have
strictly
ran for
activist.
office, I
Yeah.
think.
You think so?
Tupac?
Yes, today's
I
world.
feel like the older he
he would have
got,
ran
the
for
more
office
gangster
somewhere.
he became.
Little bit.
Either he would be. Honestly, part of me feels like there's no situation where he would not be dead today.
That's sad to say.
Or
Man.
Pop?
Yeah,
But
because how strong he believed in his ideology.
and the sad thing, I don't even think the reason he died was because of the things he was saying. It was because of the
It was
situation
like
he
a
got
beef.
in.
Yeah.
From what we see. But I think you're right. I think that the Cole kind of comparison. But I also think, I think Jay has become rock star status. You know what I mean? Like when you got these young guys,
Rockstar, if there's a such
and
thing.
of course, his wife and him when they team up, it's
Yeah.
I don't even know there's got to be a different word than rock star, but and we're not even talking. I'm saying ROC star. I'm not even saying because ROC.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think that he's been able to transcend the different generations. He's stayed true to who he is, but also he knows how to stay relevant, and he just gets people's attention. And again, I think you're right. I think he is the greatest of all time, and I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to top what he has done, career overall, coming
like
from
45, almost 50.
coming from the golden era too. Like there's no way that's ever going to be done again because we can't have an artist all of a sudden go back to the 90s and do what they did. So that would never happen. Not to mention him marrying Beyonce and all of that. I mean, just everything he's done in the power moves business wise, I think have gained respect
49 years old.
from even the young kids today. Respect him. So I'm assuming if he's 49 right now, so this year he'll be 50 in December. Man, I hope he comes out with an album when he's 50.
That'd be sweet.
Because we've never seen that. We never seen a Pac turn 50. We never seen a Biggie turn 50. It was
You got
not
like,
possible.
But
We've never
his-
seen anybody.
Here's one
We've
thing
never
that-
seen nobody, mature that much and stay relevant. It's never
Yeah.
happened.
Okay,
Stay
so
relevant,
what's the line?
Because hip hop's always young sport.
What's
You
the
know what I'm
line
saying?
where Jay said? He says, "I ain't been rapping like common sense." What's
Yeah.
that line?
I haven't rhyming like common sense.
I did 5 mil and some. He basically talked about like he had a point. I think we got to see Jay
He
Z
was
as
saying
beyond.
that he would like to be rhyming like common sense.
Correct. He did some
common
money.
sense,
It doesn't sell. But when I look at somebody like Jay Z, I don't see him as a rapper. He's a businessman first, and he's the one that coined the term.
course.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Right.
Everything to Jay, music is his product.
Yeah, but it's his passion too. You can see that too.
I would say his hustle.
Well, maybe business could be that too.
I would say his hustle. I would say he's a hustler that used rap as his business.
Because think about this. His first album, Reasonable Doubt, was supposed to be his first and last, his only album. He only wanted to do that one to put everybody else on and become a businessman in the music business.
Correct.
That's why he started his own label.
Never knew that.
So
But
I would
from
look at
look at what he's done. That's what I'm saying.
going back to this whole idea of like going back to the original topic.
He's on his 14th album.
He's on his 14th album, and I look at Jay Z. We talk about could Jay Z wear J. Cole's haircut?
He's growing his hair out.
Jay-Z?
But-
Yes,
Definitely.
Jay-Z. He's already growing it out. though.
Could he wear those dreadlocks like that?
We don't know what he's going to do because it's still growing.
But could he have done that his whole career and become who he is today?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
We don't know. And I think he's doing it now, though. You
But
got to say that.
he has the liberty to do
Later
it
in
now.
his life, yeah.
But at 30, when he's trying to rub shoulders with all these people,
I don't know, man. I don't think the hairstyle even. I think he's come from an era that's fresh and clean. I'm gonna be fresh. I'm gonna be clean. That clean cut was that. I don't think he's
Correct.
saying I want to be presentable in a business boardroom. I don't think
you're
that's
seeing
what
it
he's
in a
thinking.
different way.
No, I'm just saying. I
I'm
don't
just saying. But it's more of a cultural thing of. It's not like trying to be. It's not like you're trying to get accepted, but it's like trying to know how to move and shake in this world to be successful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm meeting a client and they're you know what I'm saying,
He's
they're
going back to the hair again.
I know it. Just to me,
But
it's
I
an
understand.
important thing because his hair or his persona, his image is what's allowed him to be successful. It's not the end result. It's not like he wakes up every day and says, "How do I dress so I can be successful?" But I'm saying that's a showing of his mindset. I'm gonna do me, but I'm gonna make sure it's presentable. But I'm gonna make sure it's receivable, and I'm gonna make sure it's popular, and I'm gonna make sure it's marketable.
Yeah, and I think I think that at the end of the day, your mindset is good for people to have that mindset. Again, we're all different. We have different views and things like that. The different views I think is good, but I think it's also good to have people that would step out there and be different.
Right.
Some of the things Kanye do, terrible. But sometimes him stepping out and being the first one to go over Jay-Z said he's like the one that goes over there from the Indian to the Cowboys and comes back with arrows in his back and saying, yo, it's crazy over there. But he was willing to go over the other side and see what's going on and step out there. I think we need people of different backgrounds, different, like I said earlier, cultures and different backgrounds so we can all come together and become the best overall. That's just my overall opinion. But I do agree,
There's definitely, but
being presentable is a good thing.
Even when Kanye started to go crazy, you noticed there was the beef between him and Jay. I don't know if that was directly correlated, but I'm saying there's certain places that Jay-Z would not go. There's certain moves that he wouldn't make that Kanye would, that has hurt Kanye's career, that Jay-Z wouldn't do because it's not marketable to his brand.
It's different. They're different people, but when they're together,
they make I mean, I'm saying
probably
Kanye's a phenomenal artist. Yeah, if they like one of the top duos of all time. But I look at Jay and I look at him. You ask, is he a superstar? He's not. He's more than super. He is. He is it. Yep. He is hip hop.
That's it, bro.
He is hip hop.
And we are too. Out of this world, man. Hey, out of this world show, man. Marcel, Antidote, Wes. Hey, we're gonna do this at least a couple times a month, man. We're gonna do this a couple times a month, man.
Yeah. We're gonna have some heated discussions sometime. One thing you're gonna notice, we got some different opinions, and we're gonna have some heated discussion. We're gonna have some guest speakers on here, just so y'all know.
And we're gonna have some
phenomenal people.
some mysterious drinks in our coffee
You
cup.
don't know what's in there. It could be coffee, it could be tea, it could be ice,
could be Douce with Jay-Z.
You never know.
If you want to sponsor us, Jay,
Yeah, but one thing
we got some work to do.
One thing we definitely gonna make sure we just keep everything level-headed, keep everything fun, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, thanks y'all, man. See y'all in a couple weeks.